Feels so good.
30 minutes. You're in the stream room. The run is going well. The host belts out a passionate donation, and the audience yells back in excitement. 15 minutes. This is the best view of the stage you've ever managed to get. You're excited for the next run in a way that you can't even describe. 5 minutes. With each breath, it gets more and more real. The timer continues ticking down. Your eyes are everywhere at once. 5, 4, 3.
Do we have time for a couple donations here?
Yeah, I guess this is a good time.
Okay, we've got $25 here from GDQ Greg, who says, "Greetings from Germany. I've got some questions for the couch. Who are you? How long have you been hosting? And how would you define your hosting style?" Sav, would you like to start?
Oh, hi. I'm Savage Octagon. I'm one of the host coordinators. And thank you.
True.
I've been hosting for probably, this is my 3rd year hosting. But I was also a commentator for the puzzle scene, which you saw me running earlier. And how I would define my hosting style, I thought that I was a hype individual. I'm actually a very chill individual, and my hosting style is I really want to make sure the runners feel as comfortable and fun as possible. And yeah, hype scares me. So.
Hi, I am the Kyle Thomas. I am a former host coordinator and longtime host. I've been hosting since 2020 and watching and adoring all the hosts since the inception of the event. I would define my hosting style as very improvisational. I really hunt for memes during the run. So when things are happening that are making people laugh on screen, I call for those donations. I try to get those out. Some people would say I'm not as prepared as I should be. That person is me. But we always make it work in the moment because that's just my style. I like finding what's fun and following that funny.
Alrighty, I am Zenadir. I tell most people to call me Zen because it's a lot easier. I have been hosting for, I think this is my 9th event now. I started in SGDQ 21 during the at-home era because it was a lot more accessible to more people, and they cannot get rid of me. I'm like a tick. But yeah, I've been hosting the whole time. I'm excited to hopefully go for 10. Hosting style-wise, it's weird to quantify because I don't think about myself as much in this term versus I look at everybody else. So I guess the best way to describe it is kind of an amalgam. I like to adapt to the situation like a chameleon. So if I can get along well with the couch, I'll try to vibe with them. If I just need them to do their thing and keep an individual, I'll go with that. But yeah, I've always looked at everyone around me to see what to learn. So
Zen, I think you're underplaying how hype you can be because you are one of the more hype hosts I've ever seen. I want to quote you real quick.
Hit it.
This is my Zenadir impression, and I mean this with all the love in the world. I need you to get those donations in. This is the time. This is the hour. You are the person who can do it. We can make this happen. And every time I'm like goosebumps over on the side. It's so exciting.
I will confidently say I never expected to be in that role, and I'm happy to not have to yell all the time. It's nice when I have a shift that is not super loud, but when the time calls for it, especially during finale days when we need the hype, I am happy that I'm capable to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a very unique situation, and it's a very fun time nonetheless. And my voice regrets it, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've introduced ourselves pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about everything that kind of happens from getting in, being accepted, the auditioning process, what happens when you're accepted, what happens when you sit down to actually do the hosting. We'll take a peek at all of the little bits and bobs that are up there for you to take a peek at, talk quickly about those kind of things, about different ways you can practice, different experiences you can get to help you feel more comfortable as a host, and then we'll save some time for some question and answers at the end. So if you have questions, think of them, maybe jot them down, get them ready for us there at the end. We'll go as long as we've got questions. So what does happen for the event? The audition process, there is a live audition that you go through to be accepted as a host. We have a panel yesterday that you can check on our YouTube channel, on the Games Done Quick YouTube channel when it's up. All about just the auditioning process. So if you're curious about that, go check that out. It was a really, really great panel. That sounds like I'm saying we did really great. There was a lot of good information, wonderful questions from all of the host hopefuls. There's also host memery, pet photos, and all of that stuff in the Discord. You join the Discord, you're welcomed in, and the LOLs begin at that point. You have conversations with your runners. We work on scheduling. If you have requests for specific runs you need to do, those all get sorted out at that point. And then Sav and Jay have the wonderful responsibility of scheduling everybody and trying to make everybody as happy as possible, and we love them for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there is online orientations, and then in person, when you get on site, there are walkthroughs, so you get a chance to actually sit at the desk, take a look at all the bits and bobs and switches and buttons and things like that.
All right. We got a big slide here about preparing for your shifts, which is a lot of work depending on how you do it. I think it's important what you mentioned earlier, that you tell yourself that you might not be the most prepared, but that is important, that everyone has a different style. And I will say, at least from my perspective, over the years I've been doing it now, I have started preparing less and less ahead of time because I've gotten a lot more comfortable. My first 2 hosting events was everything was written down. I took notes on everything. I had intros, I had outros. I would take the donations I was going to read and put them in a note document to be like, go in this exact order. And this was the first event as of this morning where I literally said, I will write nothing and see how it goes, because I am finally to a point where I'm comfortable, and it's weaned down over the time, but just trusting the instinct is the thing I'm able to do now, and that's great. And it's interesting to look at it and say, I actually think that was enough preparation to get all the info from them and then just kind of leave it in there and work with what's happening. But yeah, most importantly, everyone does prepare differently, and that's a big thing. And you will find what works for you with time.
That's right.
All the stuff you might pre-write, all the things you might not pre-write. But what's most important is that second bullet point, that you sound natural and comfortable. So however it works for you, if you're able to write a bunch of stuff down, but you're able to look at it and still speak from the heart, that is what's most important. So I scripted all that stuff in the early days, and they'd have to tell me, whoever listened, how well it sounded. But I like to think I did a decent enough job that I'm still here today.
Yeah.
So a big thing I did run into specifically with this event is knowing how to pronounce everything. While I was just live on my X and Y segment, I had fun playing with the donations about how to pronounce Mackinac, which, to be fair, had no idea how to pronounce it at the start. And then our lovely head donos chimed in and said, it's pronounced this way. And then the donos started flowing in about how to do it, so I kept purposely messing it up. But I did specifically ask, how is it pronounced, for a couple other things, including the head dono's name and some other stuff that was in a couple things, and people were able to chime in. Pronunciation is big. However, if you're able to make something out of it, like I said, had no idea how to pronounce Mackinac, and it made donos, roll with it in its own way. Just have fun with it. But of course, make sure you ask if you don't know when you do want to, and that's important. Anything that gets you comfortable, I fidget a lot. That is the ADHD in me. I don't like sitting down for long, but X and Y was hyping in a way that I could have stood, but I didn't. So this was instead, I was just squishing a ditto like the entire time. Beautiful thing from Artist Alley. I have asked many times from both of you, can I have a throat coat? Because I always show up just late enough to not get hot water, or cannot find a way to procure it. And Kyle has delivered to me on many occasions.
Many cups of hot water.
Which is always very kind. You'll notice someone like Pippi in a top hat always has their little Pip-Up plush. Whatever you got to bring up there, make sure you make it an environment that you can function your best. We have that space to do it. And of course, a big thing that we have talked about in the past, and I feel like still could be emphasized a little better in general, is warming up. And there's many ways to do it, because if you just go into a finale shift and decide to scream with no warm-up, you're probably going to regret it, which thankfully I warmed up. And there's many ways to do it. There are so many different ways to get your throat and your vocal cords ready and stretched out in the best way. A beautiful thing about the fact that you have a toggle to mute and unmute is that you can mute something, practice a couple times out loud before you say it, and then go into it. And I love doing that on a shift, because that's still a way of warming up while I'm in there, warming up what I'm going to say, as well as my voice to do the exact thing I'm aiming for, like the Psyduck impression they asked me to do today. So it's definitely the best thing you can do is prepare yourself in as many ways as possible, and that includes the thing you're going to be using the most, which is your voice. So.
And something that's amazing about having two host coordinators like Sav and Jay is that they will do literally anything for you.
Yes.
If you are a host and you need literally anything, I think the old meme we used to say is like, if you skin your knee and you need an ice pack, they will go get it for you.
Oh, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
Anything.
Within
For your
reason.
hosting.
Yeah, anything for your hosting. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Would you like to do my Monster Hunter run tonight? Does that count within the scope? Well, fellow host coordinator JPEG will be on that run, so it's going to be a great time.
I will be there for the start of that, just like making sure that rolls along, and then I will go get some sleep.
Yeah.
Important. Please
Maybe.
do.
Please get some sleep.
Please take care of yourselves, and that goes for everyone here too.
So this is part of the orientation document that they end up giving out for the people who are accepted as hosts. This is your start of shift checklist. The most important thing up here is keeping an eye on the schedule. I don't know if you've ever seen a GDQ schedule, but where you think everything's going to be is not where it ends up. And it's always getting better as the tech team figures out ways to keep things kind of where they need to be. Gone are the days of 6 hours late on the schedule, but things will shift by 10, 15, 20 minutes. And you want to make sure you're there in time. So keep your eye on that schedule. You as a host are attached to the run, not to a time slot. So you want to move. If anything ever happens that would impede you being able to do your shift, just reach out to Sav or Jay. They're going to figure out what to do, if it's whether to replace you, fill in for a little bit until you get there, whatever that ends up needing to happen for that, they will do for you. With about 45 minutes left to go, you want to check in with the coordinator at first assist, which is someone filling the coordinator role while they get their much needed sleep, or the current host, just to make sure that somebody knows that you're there and ready to take over. As we talked about earlier, take care of yourself, be hydrated, get your, was that a ditto? Get your
Little shiny ditto.
Get your little tiny shiny ditto that you need to have on it. Get your piplup, whatever it is. Get your throat coat. Ask me to go get you a hot cup of water, whatever it is.
Great delivery person, just saying.
If you are a remote host, there is slots for a couple remote hosts, 1 to 2 usually each event. There is a whole Discord process that you'll be trained on, but about the same time you're getting in the virtual green room like you would be getting in the physical green room. Then with about 15 minutes to go, you want to check the Discord for all those recent messages, see if there's been any updates. Check those reminders. There are breakfast pings that the host coordinators send out of like, hey, don't forget about this, or this is kind of changed. So try to stay in the flow and stay current on everything. It's always nice to review those bid wars that are open and the incentives that might be open and even the prizes that are open in the block that you're in for hosting. Check over those runner notes, because we now make sure that you have a conversation with your runner, so make sure you're reviewing that before you get up there. Double check your tracker groups. That's a fun new thing. Do you want to talk about tracker groups a little bit, Sav?
Well, do we have a slide about the tracker or what the tracker looks like? Because it might be hard.
That's the one to check on.
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay. So I'm sure we'll talk about donations a little bit more later, but we have something called the donation tracker, which shows you all the messages, lovely messages that people send in, the dollar amounts, and you have the option to press several buttons. You can, you can say that it's read, you can say that it's ignored, and one thing you can also do is you can organize donations into groups. So during Zenadier's run earlier of Pokemon, there were times when the memes were evolving. So we had the Pokedex donations, you called for shiny donations, so all of a sudden, we made a group that was shiny and a group that was not shiny. And then later, there was a group for states. So there was a group that says states. So Zen is clicking all the donations that mention states so he can go into that group. Then there was countries. So there was another group that appeared for countries. So that, that's a dynamic process where you're always shifting and sorting those groups. So if you want to do a little bit of that ahead of time and think about groups you might want, you could put them into the tracker or get them in your mind. But most of the time, they kind of evolve as you're going along. We have some that are preset for hosts, but yeah. You said the memes. You like to go with the memes?
Yeah.
They'll create a group.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Ask any questions that come up from reviewing those things. If there's any clarifications you need, make sure you get those out. Silence your phone. We don't want to be hearing ringtones through the mic while you're reading a donation. I don't think I've had that happen, but we still wouldn't ever want it to.
We've had it happen.
And then if you are remote, pause those computer updates, because what's better than a Windows update in the middle of a shift?
Hey, can you please update to Windows 11 at the time? We're going to be ending support for Windows 10.
We are?
We will no longer support.
Okay, so now you're all prepared, and we're going to talk about what happens when you actually take the seat.
Oh, look, who is that?
Who is that up there?
And what
That's
jacket
Plinkett.
is that?
No, that's not who we're talking about.
Oh, sorry.
Who's that handsome gentleman on the left there?
As it turns out, today's the same jacket unintentionally.
Yeah,
I swear.
look at that.
Does this look familiar? Look at this.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so now we're at the desk. Sav, do you want to take the first couple bullet points?
Yeah, of course. So when it's go time, you're going to, of course, make sure the mic is muted at the host desk. You're putting on your headphones, and that thing better be mic'd, so if you're giving yourself any assertive, positive messaging, that it doesn't go out to the whole stream, or negative messaging. You're going to log into that donation tracker so that everything is tracked to you, your actions. There's something called the host dashboard that gives you a lot of information about incentives, bid wars, what's coming up next on the schedule, how much money is being raised, etc. But you have to put your name and pronouns into that so that the whole stream knows it's you. And that's one of the most easy things to forget when you're starting. Also, we have a Discord screen up there for you, and it's called GDQ host, but you have to put your own nickname in there so everyone knows you're the host and who you are. You're going to pull up any information that you need, so that we have all these blurbs about our sponsors to read under ads or information about MSF. You're going to pull that up, make sure you know where it is. If there's donations from old runs, so for example, there were probably over 150 Pokemon donations coming out of that run.
I think we're underestimating.
Yeah, we're
It was a
underestimating.
lot.
Yeah, you can ask for help, or you can clean out those donations yourself. Say, ignore, ignore, ignore. I'm not going to read any Pokemon during Halo, right? It's a mismatch.
Master Chief is my favorite fighting
My
type.
favorite Pokemon. And then, of course, once you take a deep breath and you're all ready to go, you unmute that microphone and you introduce yourself, the event, the charity. And so you can welcome the audience. And at the end, you may or may not get the opportunity to sign off based on what's next. Sometimes we go straight into an ad and they say, all right, well, we got to do that. But then you get up, you try to stop shaking right immediately, but it'll probably take you half an hour. And then you tidy up for the next host, make sure that everything is where it needs to be for them to come on.
We talked a little bit earlier about having a bunch of bits and bobs and things at the desk, so we'll show you from that same picture from earlier, we'll show you all of the different things that are here. So this is a really good view, minus the couple people sitting there. It'll obscure a couple little
Sorry.
things. Yeah, how dare you. So there on the left, we talked a little bit about that host dashboard. So that has your, like Sav said, the schedule, the incentives. That's where you set your name and pronouns. That's where you see what prizes are currently available with pictures of them. You can see the rundown of the things that are coming up next, just so you're always aware of where you are in the marathon.
The producer also will give you a green light when you're good to toss to things or to, get the run started, which is a super helpful screen to have. You want to, as much as we have to look around in both ways, your icon always has to be around that side to see the yellow go green, because that's go time. Mm-hmm. All right, we've also got the donation tracker generally located in the center there. Your donation tracker is one of your best friends because that's where the donation team is going to shake your hand very, very well, and that's where you're reading everything from. That's what we'll be logging into. You authenticate it so you can hopefully be logged in for a good 2 weeks there and not have to worry about signing in right before your shift. Totally hasn't happened to everybody at least once, but everything goes through there and it's updated every single event. The beautiful groups we have come through on this donation tracker. If you're a big fan of organization, you're going to see those groups go. But the beautiful part of it is that it gets more and more information every time that is super helpful. One of my favorite features of the donation tracker is its estimate of how long it'll take to read a donation. It's so beautiful. But also one of the greatest things is that it'll also tell you how long it's been since some donations. So you can see, okay, at the start of the run, that was an hour ago, I got this donation, but it looks like this is relevant now. I have what I've talked to my runner about. I think this is the time to finally pull it out. And depending on how it is, you can even refer to, they were ready on this donation when you got started. Now is the time that I can share it. There's so many fantastic features to it. And like I mentioned, the team behind programming it is constantly listening for feedback and improving it for us, which is so helpful.
Yeah,
Big
great.
fan.
They've done a lot of really great work with it.
Yeah, and then of course on the right, you have the live feed. Whatever goes out to the stream, you are seeing over there. And so this is the screen that when I host, I actually look the least at, probably, because
Same.
I've already watched a video of the run. Usually when I communicate with the runners, they've sent me the video, so I've already seen it. I'm looking at it for tech issues or anything major that I'm not expecting, but most of the time I'm not looking at that. The one that's second from the right is a little laptop that had Discord on it last time. But this time, we have a larger monitor in the center that has both the tracker on it and Discord. So we don't have 4 screens, now we have 3. So I'll have to get a new picture.
Oops.
Oh,
There we go.
button.
So there in the center, that is the host button. There is a push to silence, like it's a cough button. But if the light is on, you are live. There is a very large. Wait, have they changed the airplane?
They have.
changed
Oh my
it
gosh,
as of
it's
this
so
event.
cool.
So there is a mute unmute switch. That's how you know when the light is on, you are live. And then if you need to push that button to silence yourself, to cough, clear your throat, things like that, you can push that down.
And it
Updates.
used to be that the switch was from a literal airplane.
Literally.
Like a metal heavy duty thing. So when we're nervous
Yes.
and we crank it, it doesn't fall off. And the stream could hear that switch going off. So we talked about it to Mark, our lovely sound guy, and he turned it into a light switch, so it's silent.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's really nice.
Yeah, it is super boss.
I do kind of miss the
I mean,
old
it's pretty.
button,
It was.
though.
It was pretty like.
It felt very
extra.
legit.
You
It was
knew
extra.
when you were like, it's time, I'm going to unmute it.
Yeah.
So I would always have to put two hands on. I would use the button to force the mute and then unmute just so no one heard it. But if you have ever heard the ka-chunk come
Yeah.
through in
Yeah,
a
if you
couple
listen
past
to
events,
VODs, you
will
will definitely
it.
hear click, and I have a $7 donation.
The YouTube commenters are like, "What's that clicking sound?"
Yes.
And then I will comment, "Oh, it's the controller of the runner."
Yeah.
Nothing to
It's
see
not,
here.
that's it. Oh, we gotta go.
Yeah.
We have no airplane switch in Boston say. I do genuinely miss the old like mute button. I like what we have now. It's better, but there was something funny about feeling like I was playing like what is it? Sorry has the big
Yes, the big, like-
plastic popper in
Yeah.
the middle.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the old button to like the yellow button you'll see there to like mute felt like that every time I hit it. So I kind of miss that. But the one we have now is smaller. It works, and it's got additional functionality where it's not just a mute. Instead, it is a alternate what it is. So if you are unmuted on Switch, it'll mute you. If you are muted on the Switch, you can quickly tap it to unmute. So it'll be your push to talk
Yeah.
effectively.
That's so cool.
So yeah,
It's
when we
so sexy.
when we discussed it in orientation, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. First shift, love it already.
Yeah.
It's all it took. I just needed to actually touch it. So it's great. All right.
Oh yeah, we have our host box. So there's a little box with all kinds of items that you might need when you're hosting. There's bags of tea. There's
Cough
Tums.
drops.
There's cough drops. There were stickers in there.
Yep. I was like,
Yeah.
stickers are in the box, actually.
There were stickers. Yes, there's stickers on the box. There's stickers in the box.
I feel like there's more, but what?
I
There's
feel like
more.
there's more.
Anything that is
Any-
like
yeah, any-
tissues, tissues.
Well, that's outside.
Oh,
We have wipes
crap.
outside. But yeah, I mean, lots of little things that you could possibly need.
Next.
Oh yeah, and Discord.
Oh yeah, we talked about the
okay.
Discord.
We're skipping ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I even made this slide too. Like this was the slide that I made. And the host blanket.
This is my favorite thing. It gets really cold in the stream room, so dress appropriately, whether you're behind the host desk or not. But we do provide host blankets. Well, a host blanket, and you also might have to wrestle it away from Sav sometimes.
Yes.
If it is not there at the desk, it is on my person. I would be willing to give it back, but it will be on my person.
Alrighty, in the zone, a big thing when it comes to hosting is that you need to always be listening because you never know when things are going to kind of come up. I got distracted during Pokemon today, and it showed. At one point, they asked, hey, we need to know about this bid war, and it was for the third Pokemon, and donation team doing their job had closed it. So when I was busy getting more information and I heard the call, I was listening for it. I just wasn't prepared to actually actually perceive everything they said. I looked over, saw the one that was open, and said, it's clearly this one. And very excitedly said, Trans Rice won. And they're like, actually, we don't need Lucario. We need Halucha. And I was like, oh. So I had to pivot on that one and felt very awkward. So there's a lot of information that comes through, but it is very important that you are ready and listening. Take the time you need to actually really hear what is being said to you. Very important.
This slide is kind of like my hosting style of like just
Yes.
looking for the memes, looking for the themes. I did host for Pepsi Man one time, and we had a whole cursed drinks donation train that we were all answering from, and it drives a lot of donations. It's a really fun thing to experience, and you get some really, really horrible things sometimes from the audience. Like I think,
Yes.
what is it called? Pilk? Pepsi
Pilk.
milk?
Oh,
Pill.
God.
Gross. It's good. There's no way that it's good. I refuse
not
to
bad.
believe that it's good.
It's not bad, actually. It sounds gross. It is gross, but it's actually not that bad.
It sounds really bad.
I got you.
Listening actually has several forms, though. It's not just necessarily like audio listening, but reading Discord is also a form of listening. So, for example, I was on the desk while Zenadier's up there, and I had to say, okay, well, you met that incentive. Congratulations. Now we're going to open another one, and it's for this, and it's this dollar amount. Watch out for it and announce it. And so Zenadier has to listen to that and make sure he acknowledges that he knows I've said it and that he's going to do that. So for accessibility purposes, one thing that's pretty interesting is you should know a little bit about your own learning style. I was a teacher, so I have to do this. But I have trouble both audio and visual processing at the same time. So I have to be very deliberate about, okay, I'm in audio mode right now, I'm in visual mode right now, and if I try to do both at the same time, no go. So yeah, you should know that about yourself before you sit down at the host mic.
Interesting. Yeah, as mentioned, so much can happen during your shift, like the incentives, the bid wars. We finished we hadn't fully finished all 4 of the bid wars for Pokemon. We had 1 left at that time, and they're like, so we dropped in 4 Balatro bid wars. I was like, oh boy.
Hey.
But the best information that I could have gotten in the moment was you saying, all you need to do is mention it and then leave it be. And I was so happy to hear that. I was like, so I have to juggle 2 incentives. I still have 1 open bid war for Pokemon. I have the milestone at 1.25 million, and now I have 4 Balatro incentives. And I was like, I'm also trying to fit in community hashtag donations, talking about states now. Like, you have a lot of avenues of communication, but you will find a way that works for you, and however you got to put it across the screens, if you have to deliberately take moments to focus on audio over visual, whatever it might be. But it is important to really lock in.
Plenty of people bring notepads up so they can make notes and cross out that they've done it.
All the time. All the time.
It just really helps to keep track of making sure that you're getting to things too.
And when we were double hosting, actually, we were octopussing all over each other. Our arms were like this. And Char called for, she was going to give out $10 for every death. I literally had a pen that I was writing on Kyle.
Yeah.
Taking a tally. So he couldn't wash his hands until we'd reported to Char that she died like 13 times.
It worked okay. I wouldn't wash my hands anyway. Sorry.
Great. He's a nurse,
All right,
friends.
gamer.
Hey, whoa, no, I'm joking.
Sorry.
It's a bit. It's a bit.
It's a bit. Seriously. Sorry.
So Zen mentioned some incentives, and there's all kinds of things that are going on in opening. So when you're working as a host, you're working alongside several teams. One of those teams is Games Committee. They're the ones who picks when to open incentives and bid wars. They're the ones who set the amounts for each incentive. So we want to make sure we want it to be $50,000. That's their decision. $5,000 for an overnight something. That's all their decision. So it's us as the host's job to make sure the audience knows how to apply to an incentive and then gets really excited for it. So every incentive comes with a little blurb underneath it that gives you a description, and that can be really helpful to drive some excitement about why you're going to want to all collectively donate $25,000 to see a certain incentive. The host coordinators will be over there kind of communicating urgency of incentives. That is like how often to push. This incentive is a long ways away, so you have some time, just kind of mention it every once in a while. And then as that ramps up, as things get closer, we're saying, hey, cut in every couple minutes now, cut in. Make sure you're mentioning it every single time. That is their role to help communicate that to you.
And a little insider baseball is actually, there is a site that we have access to where we can tell how much money has come in the last 5 minutes, in the last 10 minutes, in the last half an hour, in the last run. Yeah. And so we use that information for pacing for incentives. This is when you ramp it up. This is when we know we're fine. And so we have data that helps us give information to the hosts.
And this ultimately takes like the idyllic, perfect form is having the incentives be open. The runners are excited about it. They're throwing to the host to pop off about it, to read donations about it. It's going back, and then it gets met, and everybody gets really excited. We've all been in the room. We've all watched the VODs when a really scary or cool incentive gets met, and people are freaking out, and everybody's applauding, and that's just so wonderful to be a part of.
The energy becomes electric in those moments.
It really
when you
does.
can tell it's not just you, it's the runners, the couch, everyone behind them, people backstage. In that moment, everyone's like, oh, we got it.
Yep.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Twitch chat. If hosts don't often have Twitch chat open, it's a personal preference, but you can see chat will pop off as well.
Big time.
So.
All right, the fun one, the stall.
You ever had one of these?
Only a few times. Stalling is a very unique skill to develop, and I know I'm gonna go slightly out of order before I get super deep into this. I think one of the best ways you can develop your ability to stall is to do smaller events where they don't have the donation frequency of GDQ, because in those moments where runners are communicating with you and saying, hey, do we have anything right now? You might not always have something, and you have to come up with what you're going to speak about. Are you going to remind about the charity for the 4th time in a row? Do you want to switch it up and instead try and turn it into a quick, hey, I have a super important question about your run, just for like understanding, try and turn it into like this pseudo interview real quick. Anything you can do to kind of change it up a little bit. GDQ is a unique situation that there is always something coming in, and beautifully we always have a list of evergreen donations that we keep in as well that are very generic, and if someone donated it 4 days ago but just said, I love MSF, you can be like, well, I need a donation right now. I love MSF, thank you for the 25. But yeah, stalling is interesting because there's so many different ways to handle it, and it can be really weird when you're not used to it. You never know how long they're necessarily going to be. Are you stalling because they're quickly resetting a trick in the run, or is tech breaking because there's so many variables and so many hands in the pie right now? Is it a super complicated setup? Like, we have a lot of full stage setups nowadays, and that is a lot more involved. So sometimes we finish the interstitial, we're not ready yet. You need to figure out how you're gonna pause that. Are you gonna talk about your prizes, your donations, anything just to kind of spice it up a little bit rather than constantly going back and forth the donations. And then also, important thing to stalling is, how do you pace yourself? Because you don't want to just keep going the whole time. As I've gotten more comfortable with it, I will usually try to do one donation, pause for a couple seconds, gather my thoughts, figure out where I'm going to be. And then that window, that like 3 to 5 seconds, it's a bit of a larger pause, but it's enough time that if something urgent needs to come through, like they have magically just finished, it is the perfect way I can do it without having to immediately be like, okay, now I need to rush to the next donation. I'm saying to be like, we're ready, let's go. So there's a lot of ways to handle it. And as always, watching how different hosts handle it is a great way to learn from them. You can talk. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good. This slide here is something that comes from orientation as well, and sometimes there are printed versions of it even at the host desk to reference, or it's pinned and available to you. But this is like kind of a 3-tier system of things that are like bread and butter. You can always jump to talking about donations, incentives, bid wars, charity blurbs. Prizes being automatically entered. That's really cool for people to know that they don't have to like go say, I want to win this particular prize. If you're donating a certain amount, you're entered in this prize block. And then if you start to feel like you're saying the same things over and over, go down a little bit. If you're having to delay for another 5 minutes and you're going to have to fill that time, go down to talking about the donation total, how much we've raised and how beautiful and amazing that is that we've raised so much for charity up to this point. We have documents that have all the blurbs from the different sponsors. Those are nice to read or just pull little snippets from, talking about bits, subs, future runs, talking to chat, interacting with chat sometimes, saying, give me your best dance emotes because we've got a dance game coming up, things like that. That's always good to do.
And push comes to shove, if you have been stalling for a long time and your brain is broken, send up a red flag emoji. I will send back 6 bullet points of things you could say, and you can pick from them.
Yeah.
You could do them in order. You could do them not in order. You could say none of them. It could give you another idea. But it's just to take the cognitive load off of you. And it's not to say that you're doing anything wrong right now, but, oh, hey, I've been here for 4 hours and I know what's been talked about recently, so we haven't hit this, or this. You know, so there's lots of people behind you. And in case of a severe emergency, the producers have extra recorded content that they could play a video for you, and you could maybe stand up, go get a drink of water or something like that, come back. But there is a last line of defense as well to help you out.
Yeah, you as a host are never working alone. You might be up there, generally speaking, within your own space, but you are working with so many different teams, and especially the co-coordinators are always there to support you. And also, every other host is always there. There we have the channel that is literally there to gas everyone up and let you know how great you're doing. And if you genuinely need a meeting of the minds, there are so many people there willing to help you and push you forward, which is a beautiful thing.
And if you're a first-time host, too, there is a mentorship program where you work with an experienced host. So if you, I think it's happened this event, but it happens almost everywhere. People get stuck with stalls, and first-time hosts, you've got somebody right there. That picture earlier where Clinkit was next to it's a setup like that, where they're going to be right there handling things with you. So you're never alone, and if it's your first time, we're not going to put you out there by yourself all just, hey, go have fun. We know you can do it. We're going to have support there for you.
Boy, we love tech issues.
We sure do.
They
No,
happen.
we love to congratulate our tech team for doing such a great job.
That's right.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
fantastic.
There's so many things that can happen in an event like this. It is a massive scope that no matter how many years I've been around is impossible to fully understand.
Yep.
The amount of people who have helped make GDQ what it is and how it has evolved over the years, there's a lot of layers to that lasagna. A lot. So sometimes things break. If you watched Community Clash yesterday, I was behind the scenes calling camera shots for that. And if you might have noticed, towards the end, I think we were about to go into the final round, we held on a shot of team, I want to say, what was Adafon? Was that menus? Team menus. We held on a shot of team menus for like 90 seconds. the board we were using to change what cameras were on froze. So the program itself just started giving the spinning wheel, and we had to have 3 engineers run over, start messing with the tech rack, but they fixed it, and then we were able to continue on, and the show was a huge success, frankly. Like,
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. I'm glad we had it on the stage. But you never know what's going to come up in terms of tech issues, but you have to fill time when it does happen. Sometimes that's what the stall is for. Sometimes complicated setups happen, or we have audio issues, or the console's not working, controllers, a million things that are unpredictable until the moment happens, and that's where your stalling skill comes in. But
And it'll just come right back to you, and you've got the green light, you have the power, we empower you to be able to start hosting and filling the time right then when it comes back to you. And that usually happens at the start of the run. I mean, they can happen anytime, but we've all seen the thing where you cut to the game and then the game video is not there or the audio isn't working and then it comes right back to the host. So that always be listening, keeping your head on a swivel this is a perfect example of something for that.
yeah.
And then plenty of times the runner or the couch doesn't ever give you a chance to chat. I'm sure we've all seen that, or seen how stressed Sav or me or Jay or somebody has been of like, well, why can't we do it? He don't know. If you will have communication with the host coordinators about whether you should be cutting in, whether you should be jumping in, but it's up to you to kind of try to have a good sense of when to do it. It's really hard. It's really
It's the
stressful.
hardest.
I think it is the hardest part
It is
of hosting.
the hardest. So, Zen and I have both hosted for this. I hosted backyard baseball. Was anyone in the audience for that? Okay.
So good.
Okay. Whoa. Like 200 donos came in, all with love for anarchy, and I couldn't even get a second to pop off. And a lot of that was because of the amazing audience energy as well. Like who knew? But I was red flag emojis all through the Discord. I was like, oh my God, how do I get in? How do I get in? And that's the most nerve-wracking thing, because you know that when the host talks, donations go up. We actually have graphs. We can see it. It happens. So we need to get our voices out there. But obviously, this is also a speedrunning event. We want the games to be showcased. So it's an interesting balance. And sometimes the runners have told you a perfect place to get in, and then they talk right through it because
Yeah.
they're excited to be up there. So you have to figure out how to get in there.
If I
It's the
had
scariest thing.
to point to a singular person that I think is the best to learn how to just get in there and interrupt to make your space known, I think Char is the best host I have ever
Charbot,
heard
yeah.
about making that time.
Yeah.
Depending on your level of comfort, you might wait for there's been 1 second of silence. I think Char will find a 0.25 second and say, I have this donation. And it is impressive how confident and well-spoken Char is when they do it.
Yeah.
And I have watched Char's hosting shifts so many times to figure out how to improve that skill, because cutting in feels awkward.
Yeah.
It feels
It
really
is always
awkward.
preferable that the runner or the couch says, hey, we have time for these donations, so it feels more like a handoff versus, I need to step in, do you have a moment? But sometimes it has to be done, and awkwardness is okay because we're doing it for charity. We want to get those donation messages out there. People want to hear the things that are stated, and like Sav said, we have the data that shows it works. All you're doing is reminding people of the fact that these messages get read. You're reminding of incentives, and then suddenly incentive numbers go up. Reminders are a good thing. We're doing it for the right reasons. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then just like we talked about earlier, if you have any kind of issues with comfort, with needing more water, stuff like that, check Discord, ask the host coordinator or First Assist. Everybody will be there for you for any of those common issues like that. And then how do we get help?
Hi, mentorship is one of my favorite things we have officially instated in the last couple years. I try to mentor every event because you learn so much through teaching. My learning style is very much observing until I can get it hands-on, and that's when I nail the information properly and it's in the brain. But through my process of getting to mentor people, I've learned so much just from hearing someone's completely fresh perspective of, so why did you do that? Because they're just trying to process that, and suddenly the way they thought about it, because I love to say, so this is how I'm thinking about it. What are you thinking? You learn so much through that because there's just a completely different mindset to someone who has not been staring into a mic for several years worth of this, I have a lot of habits that are nailed down that could be good, could be bad, and most importantly, they all need to be more flexible than they are, and I learned that through teaching other people. I love the mentorship program. First-time hosts always have it, and then even after that, you can still request a mentor,
Absolutely.
which is so nice. If you're like, hey, I've hosted once before, I had a mentor then, I know it's my second event, but I still would love someone to be there to shadow me or to genuinely walk me through on the shift or to shadow someone else. That is an option you have, and it's so nice that we do that. It is a beautiful, beautiful addition to hosting.
Yeah. The way it's set up is if you get in as a first-time host, you are paired with someone who you will shadow before you have your shift. So you get to be there and sit next to them and watch how somebody who has hosted before does it. You can learn, you can have conversations, you can sit up there as long as you need to feel comfortable. And then when it comes time for your shift, the same mentor or someone else will be sitting with you and be there for you for whatever you might need when you're in the middle of the shift. So you always have someone so you can watch like an experienced person run through everything, take what you need from that, and then you have somebody there with you literally this far away from you for your first shift as well.
And one thing that we added recently, one of the great things about hiring Jay is she had so many great ideas about mentorship, was that we've given new hosts actually a checklist of what to look for when they observe and they're doing their shadow shift.
That's cool.
It's almost like when you went to a museum on a field trip and your teachers gave you that sheet, like, how old is this mastodon, right? We gave the new host that, and so they can write down what their host did. And of course, there's always host coordinator support. So again, me or Jay or an experienced host that we have assigned is always at the desk, ready to provide ideas, ready to provide support, feedback, pump ups, messages from games committee. And also, right when you walk off, sometimes you can ask us like, oh, hey, how did I do? What was the big thing? And we can tell you right away that you can take it away and think about your next shift. So we're there all the time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I deliberately spell this out. There is either a host coordinator or a first assist who is a host who has volunteered to fill that role 24 hours a day for the entire marathon. So you are never left alone. There is always somebody there to give you feedback, to pump you up, so you're never left high and dry at like 4 in the morning when it's like you and the producer and then somebody editing video over on the left. So there's always somebody there.
Trey's just off in the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Improvement. Who would have thought? But practice is a big way to get better. No one is surprised.
I know.
And you don't even have to practice through events. You can just look into a mirror and talk to yourself. That is a legitimate thing. When I started GDQ, I went to audition for hosting in part because we were remote at that time and I couldn't use my main day job skill of running cameras. And I was trying to get into voice acting at the time, still am in its own way, but I was like, hosting sounds like a great way to practice that. I am a proponent of both shower and car practice. I love them both. If anybody is on the road next to me, you will probably see me reciting lines, shouting into the ether, whatever it might be. I remember one time driving to the mall, and there was a mom and a daughter in the car next to me, and I was belting out a T-Swift song on the radio, and I just saw them looking at me and cackling. I was like, well, I'm having a good time. That's all that matters.
Live your best life.
Live your best life.
Do you have a go-to when you're in the car or the shower, or something that you practice that you say to yourself a bunch of times?
I don't have a specific thing rehearsed. More so, it tends to be whatever I might be working on at the time. Like, how much information am I allowed to provide on this within NDA? I am currently working on voice dubbing a webtoon. I am one of the main characters, which is the first professional work I've gotten. I cannot say no more than that. However, because of that, right now, a lot of the stuff I'm reciting is like, all right, get into the mindset of this character, come up with anything I can. It doesn't even have to be the lines, but just trying to get into it, practice the voice, that kind of thing. So when I practice hosting between, we have a lovely thing that exists that is a GDQ donation generator, and it is very interesting. It's going to be a little nonsensical, but it is very helpful if you just want to bring things up. Or, as I've mentioned, I like to learn through observing and then putting it in my own hands and practicing. I like to do a lot of VOD reviews, both for my own shifts and for other people. If I'm in the stream room, which I'm glued there most of the time, I'll be listening. Or when I go home afterwards, GDQ VODs are like my favorite white noise. So while I am playing games, it's in the background. And if I'm not playing with friends, my mic's not on. I'm just sitting there with my cat on my lap or on my keyboard because that's what she does. I'll just start reciting the same donations to see how it works, what the host was going for, that kind of thing. There's so many ways to practice, and it's not like you have to be at an event to do it.
Saf,
No.
do you have a go-to that you practice in the mirror?
Well, I had an experience where I auditioned for Frost Fatales or Flame Fatale. I can't remember which one. And I kept saying Summer Games Done Quick 2024.
Let's go.
So in my shower, I'm always saying, "Hi, I'm Savage Octagon. Welcome to correct event, correct event, correct event." And like, I'm excited to team up with you. So that's what I'm usually doing.
There was an audition, I want to say 2 or 3 events ago, where my audition, I said the wrong charity and realized it right after, and I did the same thing for like a week
Yeah.
of like, it wasn't MSF, it was PCF, it was PCF, it was PCF.
Yeah.
Kept trying to nail it into my brain like, come on, you know what time of year it is.
Maybe
Yeah.
you don't. It's okay.
And if you're wanting some other events to look through, we've got a list here of other really amazing speedrun events, charity events that are always looking for hosts to volunteer. I'm sure they can never get enough of them, and they would really appreciate you reaching out and trying to volunteer for them. RPG Limit Break is wonderful. I volunteered with them before. Zeldathon, I volunteered with them before. Multithon, and then I don't want to mispronounce it. How can you?
It is, to my knowledge, it is pronounced Ungus.
Angus?
Is it Angus? I have been told
Thank
wrong
you.
by my own
The
chat.
Gs.
Who would have thought?
Betrayed.
Yeah, thanks, Twitch chat.
So there's no shortage of events online where you can volunteer your time as hosts, and that's a really good way to, like we were talking about earlier, be able to practice filling time on your own, be able to practice reading donations, cold reading things, which is where you haven't seen something before, it gets put in front of you, and you have to say it out loud smoothly. I highly recommend volunteering for those because just taking the time off in between each audition. We only do 2 of these a year, right? So if you're not doing anything else outside of that, the only ways that you could get any practice is talking in the mirror or singing T Swift in the car. So these give you other opportunities to be doing the exact same thing that you would be doing for GDQ on a different stage.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about audition feedback?
Yes, audition feedback. Oh, it's my favorite thing. That's something that I brought to the practice. Super nerdy about feedback and continual improvement. Again, teacher. It's never going to be out of me. So if you get in or if you don't get in, you can ask for feedback on your audition. You are judged by not only 7 or 8 judges who are volunteers for us, but you're also judged by a smaller group of people if you get in that have a different set of criteria. So we have all these written notes about you. You can ask for them, and we will take them, we'll summarize them, and we'll give you some actionable feedback. Useful stuff. We'll try not to make sure that, things are contradicting each other. We'll listen to your audition again, and we'll make sure to give you specific tips for you to work on. And a lot of times, one of those tips will be, hey, you know what? You should also try to get into another event because it sounds like you might want to more practice with this kind of stalling, this kind of donation call, etc. So that's a common piece of feedback. But we have had some amazing success stories of people who have auditioned multiple times, and each time they have climbed the ranks one by one of how close they were to getting in because they used that feedback really, really well. So it does work. And so you can learn a lot about the specifics. And sometimes, it's just, if we took one more person, we would have taken you. And it's hard to say that to someone. But the feedback, we always try to make sure there are specific action steps that you can take to improve.
If you auditioned in the past and you got just a big copy paste of all the judge statements and they had conflicting things and some things were like less than nice, we have gotten rid of all of that. Everything is parsed through the host coordinators and put into actionable things because we genuinely do want everybody to get better and keep auditioning because it just makes all of the host talent continue to rise, and that's better for everybody.
And at that, even if you don't think if you are underconfident, you still should audition for the sake of understanding what the process is like. Mm-hmm. The audition these days is a lot more closely lined up with the real event. Obviously, it's not going to be one-to-one. We don't have a donation team and a live run to just fire off things. But the way it is nowadays is not the same back when we used to have a completely recorded thing, and all you did was just record from a list of things that you feel like doing and send it in. These days, it is you prepare as much as you can. You have this exact audition time when you can find a moment to get into that server, because we aren't scheduling them anymore, which is probably a really good thing. I think it's a great thing. And then you lock in, and it feels so similar to a real event. You're using a version of our tracker that's set up for these. Someone has specifically recorded their run. We have scenarios in place now, and they change every time, and they curveball. No matter how experienced you are, you have no idea what is going to happen in that audition.
And even people think things are tricks that we did not design to be tricks, which is really interesting. For about 6 weeks of every year, I feel like everyone is suspicious of what I do and what I write and who I am. And I say, oh my gosh, that was actually just a typo, not trying to catch you out or anything. But no, it doesn't matter. Everything is a trick. But what we really try to do is we really try to make that audition represent a lot of different things, but in a way that they will be accessible to new people auditioning. It won't be weird jargon that you've never heard before, and it'll be something that an experienced host deals with. But a little bit of surprise needs to be part of the audition because it's part of the job. And actually, the job involves a lot of surprise.
As it turns out.
Yeah.
And if you want a full in-depth analysis of all that, how it goes with screenshots from the audition, check out our panel that we had yesterday. That'll get you all kinds of good information.
It was pretty good.
My favorite little thing, too, is just like Zen was saying, watching all those VODs all the time. Just steal all the stuff that you love because you're going to steal it, keep what works for you, and it's going to slowly morph into your own voice. There's no shame in doing a Mr. Game and Shout homage to try to get better yourself.
As long as it's you
Yes.
in there.
Yeah.
It's very
Let
important.
yourself come out
Yes.
when you're emulating others. This is just a list of some magical hosting moments that I like to talk about. Maybe you remember some of them. I will say them out loud so you don't have to read them, or we will. We talked a little bit earlier about there being all kinds of mistakes that can happen live, and sometimes they lead to memes and they lead to wonderful moments. For disaster relief done quick last year, Mr. Game and Shout was trying to say dono but said donut. And so
now has an emote.
There's now a donut emote, and that just comes from tripping over your own tongue. But he leaned into it so hard, we ended up making an emote for it. It became a really, really funny moment. And Zen, last SGDQ a year ago, we had a mic die and nothing.
A year ago.
I know it was a year ago. His
right.
microphone from the host desk just literally either came unplugged or died, or we don't know what happened. He just all of a sudden couldn't talk, and we're like, well, I guess go on the couch, bring a mic, do it.
It was like 15-ish minutes, and we have the Discord for communication, and after like 5 minutes of people trying to troubleshoot it, I was like, hey, he looks at the producer at the time, I was like, I work interstitials. I work very closely with Spike Vegeta. I know this is a very strange pivot. They've called for me twice now, and I haven't been able to do anything, and it's just so awkward. And I was like, what's the open thought to me just hopping in next to Spike and sharing their microphone? And it was discussed, and they let me do it, and now it is a process that is being integrated and evolved every event, and it was not intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty magical.
Yeah, we're expanding some things based on fun coincidences. Also, like, a weakness that you have could be a strength. Now, if anyone's heard, oh, hey, it's Kara as a host, amazing vibe, very specific vibe, also just a chaos gremlin of love and delight.
Yep.
Perfect description.
At AGDQ, was hosting a Star Wars game, and I don't know if Kara's never seen Star Wars, but it's pretty close. And she said, Sav, I don't know anything about Star Wars. And I said, what? Didn't you prepare anything? She's like, I got this. I sounded just like Kara, by the way.
Yeah, actually, that was really
I'm
good.
really good. Yeah. And she decided that she was going to call for donations, tricking her as to what was a real Jedi name and what was a fake Star Wars character name. And so people were starting to donate and try to catch her out. And it worked really, really well, because when you call for that and you can have funny moments, that people respond to that with donations. So it was actually comedy gold, and I was very nervous about it because I was just thinking of Reddit. But it was really great.
And that's really similar with plenty of people who host for Pokemon runs or have Pokemon-related things happening and know nothing about Pokemon, and so you get to play the game Pokemon or Prescription Drug, which I think is wonderful, like Abilify.
Oh, that's a prescription
That's
drug.
That is a
definitely a prescription,
That's a
yeah.
prescription. What about Xenodeer?
That sounds like a Pokemon. Might have to go look that one up. Is that what, like 1,015 these days?
Yeah, something like that.
Skyrizi?
Oh, that's a prescription drug.
That is. Yeah.
Also, Following the Funny is great. I don't know if you saw the Dick Tracy overnight run. Happy by 3 was hosting, and they were all talking like this.
See?
And so then all of a sudden, every donation was read like this. See? And doing those kind of things, now you get donations that all end in see, and you can play into it, and it's just a lot of fun. There's so many different ways to engage with the audience in these fun ways.
Oh, and there was, I think it was last event.
Yeah.
There was a short stall where the runner actually, we thought, people from the outside thought it was a tech stall, but actually the runner said, "I need a bio break right now." And right before the run, we're like, "Okay, you got to go." And an incentive for that run had not yet been met. And so there was a 5-minute stall, and Charbunny, speaking of the host at Xenodeer, talking a mile a minute, compelling the universe to send MSF amazing dollars, and met that incentive.
Everybody had written off that it was going to, okay, well, we'll miss
Well,
this one.
yeah, but I don't know how much money she made in like 5 minutes, but it was
unbelievable.
astronomical. Yeah.
And that's why we say never give up. Unless we tell you to drop an incentive, do not drop it. Keep pushing it. Because until Games Committee says, okay, we're washing our hands with this one, which is very rare, there is still a chance that it will be met. A Yeti Dono can come in. A big donator can come in. Nuclear Cheese can drop $5,000. You never know what's going to happen.
Nuclear cheese.
Donator.
Yeah,
Donator?
that's a
Donator.
challenge.
I'm
That's
so
a
sorry.
thing this
I'm
event.
so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Donor.
boy.
Check yourself.
We suggest donor now.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Donator is technically a word.
It is.
Anyway.
But just to quickly add on to the very end there, just believe in the generosity of the community.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they all want to see more amazing things. We are raising money for charity using speedrunning as a vessel for it. People want to see more cool things, so when you're offering them that and you're bringing that excited energy, you never know what can happen, including Char being the absolute professional she is.
Absolutely.
All
Okay.
right.
So we'll do a question answer now. If you have questions, just speak them out loud. We will repeat them into the microphone for the VOD. This was a rule at our panel yesterday. Don't compliment us. We just want to answer. We want to help everybody. We're not cool.
Yeah, please don't ask the question, "Why are you so cool?"
And then if you have questions that are related to the audition specifically, please check out that other panel, So You Want to Be a Host, which is either up already or should be up soon. So who has questions? Yes.
When you're on the host desk, in your headset, what can you hear? Like, can you hear screen music? And how loud is it?
So the question was, when you're at the desk, what can you hear in your headset? You hear the stream itself, so any of the music, the gameplay, the couch, the runners, and then you will also hear a tiny little echo of yourself when you're speaking. It's just a thing that's in there. Thankfully, the little box with the mute and the button, you can dial the volume of that, and then in situations that require it, the producer, who is the red vest walking around backstage, can god mic you. So usually this will be something that happens most frequently between runs, just to let you know, hey, we need a few more moments for a tech stall, something like that. So most of the time they will communicate it with you in your ear as well as put it in Discord. So that is occasionally you can just hear this voice out of nowhere and have to look over, and then you'll see like the lovely face of Aaron waving you down, pointing, that kind of thing. But otherwise that's usually what it's limited to, just to keep it really focused. So that's why if one of the monitors we had mentioned that you can still briefly see in the picture, the far right one that has your stream feed, the audio you're going to hear is synced up to it. It is live in that moment. So even if you aren't someone that frequently looks at it, I like to stare at my runners, or I will occasionally check what's happening just to verify, but you are hearing what's going through the stream right there. So.
And there are these interesting circumstances now. We have couch hosts because of what happened with Xenodeer. So you may have seen Court on the couch for Pokemon. There was an additional person in Court's ear, and that was me.
Yes.
So because Court was not able to see this full setup of all of the screens, I relayed some information like the incentive is here. Be sure to pop off for that. Or, hey, you've got 16 million donations coming in about Wisconsin, just so you know, that kind of thing. And also like ask her questions sometimes, and there's this, you may see a slight nod, or you may see her put her hand out. You know, she's responding to something I said.
Great question. Other questions?
Anything that comes to mind.
Yeah.
We could have talked about it, and you just want to talk about it a little more in depth. Something. There we go.
What are your preferred ways to vibe with your runners since you're hosting?
What are so the question was, what are our preferred ways to vibe with the runners? But yeah, so
before you host.
I like to, and we have the policy now where everybody reaches out. So I like to reach out and chat with them just to try to create some familiarity, and then see what they want from me to feel comfortable with me. Sometimes they want me to show up for a playthrough. I will. I love doing that. I love seeing what I'm getting into. I usually am doing a little bit of research on my own for make sure I see the run, know what the game's about, how to pronounce all those things, stuff like that. And then it's just however social they want to be. I kind of let them drive that show for myself, because I know in the moment when we're on stage together, I can lock eyes. I can keep on them like a hawk, and then always be watching for them. And sometimes it's really great when the couch is on board with that too, and they're making eyes over to me, not at me, but to me. And they'll.
Well,
I can
Thank you
kind
for
of,
specifying,
no
but
los
also.
dos.
I can I can kind of look at the couch or the runner, and they'll know that I'm like kind of waiting for them to throw to me, and that can kind of help create organic moments where they see that I'm anticipating them.
My Horizon Zero Dawn runner last event was amazing at looking at me. They were just in the middle of the gameplay. I would hear them talking. I had the feeling they were winding something down, and I'd see their eyes just shift to me. And at that moment, we vibed so well. It's so nice. Everyone has a different way they handle their like pre-event prep. Some people have a lot of information they're asking, like a full checklist of questions. It's what makes you most comfortable, but understand that you also don't want to necessarily overwhelm them. It's very important to also know that not every runner is going to respond the same. Some are going to be slower, some will be faster. Some may not get back to you without a little bit of prodding from staff. It happens occasionally. I've had runners who just never responded to me, which is very unfortunate. And it was years ago before I felt more confident to just force it to happen because I needed to. I was more like, oh, it's okay. I guess I'll get over it. But the big things I like to ask, I always ask for a VOD. Anything they could provide me, whether it's their PB or something they feel best reflects the run. If they don't necessarily have anything to provide, you can also just look up their submission video. That is a thing you can do. It just exists in the ether that you can find. Depending on when in the week the run is, especially because this event I'm hosting today and finale day, I do like to tell the runners, like, an important thing for them to know is that we need to push incentives. We need to get that total higher. I need to be able to cut in. That was a thing I focused on very hard this event in my like pre-discussions with my runners. Is just, here's the situation. We're all here for the same thing. I really am not trying to take away from your run, but I also have the job I need to do that will help remind people of donating for all of these different things. I need to make that space, and it's so much better if we can do it as a handoff versus do you have that moment? And all of them have so far been incredibly receptive to it. Like, thanks for letting me know. They will give you lists of times depending on how thorough they want to be. I've hosted for the excellent Mitch Riz several times. Mitch is incredible about saying, here's the times I plan to practice. Do any of these work for you? And if not, we will make more time. Getting to see that run practice before it goes live is amazing. Because in that moment, you can ask any questions you might have, take notes. Sometimes they'll even go through, depending if it's runner and couch, like how they plan to handle things. And you can really nail down when the best times to do things are. Also the green room. If I'm coming onto a shift versus when I'm in the middle and might have 2 or 3 runs, I like to try and stop in the green room and say hello, just in case we haven't met before. This is the face and the voice you're going to be engaging with. Just having that face-to-face contact, and like that is a great moment for me to immediately be able to read the vibes of that person of, okay, this is the energy we're looking at.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the best things that is possible for an in-person event is like, now I get what I'm working with, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
I do not feel comfortable hosting for someone unless I've had a voice-to-voice interaction. There's just nothing like it to be able to convey your energy to them, to get their energy. For me, I'm not there until I have spoken with them, either on Discord or in person, preferably in person for me. That's just my style. But yeah, once I talk to them and we've just vibed a tiny bit, small talk or whatever, I feel much more comfortable hosting and figuring out what their vibe is going to be.
Awesome. Great question. Other questions? Yeah. So as a follow-up to that, what if the vibes were off if you met, right?
Effectively.
For me, I feel like, this is an interesting question. I genuinely have not had this happen. I feel like all the runners are here for like super great causes, and everybody's kind of on board and knows things. I think they need to understand that it is a charity thing, and that donations will have to be read during your run at some point. And so communicating that way, I'm gonna let the other talk. I think more about it.
I've had an instance where it wasn't necessarily that I didn't vibe with the person, but our expectations of what was going to happen were very different going in. And so they felt, this is their moment. They have been working on this run for so long, and they've been thinking about this game for so long, and every single piece of tech is the most important part of that run. And every moment they're saying, this is I need quiet time for this. And it's really stressful, and it's not what I expected. I think that's more likely what's going to happen than necessarily a personality mismatch. And so you've just got to stay the course. And I think for me, the most that I can do is listen very carefully for small, specific words. And because I'm a wordplay enthusiast, a punster, I'll say, did I just hear you say, and just go for it. And that's what I got to do. And then just have the memory of a goldfish and forget that I had to do that. Because it's uncomfortable.
Yep.
And so you might not have communicated great beforehand. But you still have to remember, as Zen said, this is all for charity. And so you are actually... The best hosts can take themselves out of it a little bit and make it not personal.
Yep.
And say, like, well, I just got to get in there. It's awkward.
Yep.
And I'm not a fan of what's happening right now with the vibes. But we'll make it work. Yeah.
Job has to get done ultimately.
That's
and
really what it is.
while the runner and the couch are also providing a very important aspect of what is being done, so are you. And you are a voice for countless people and for a very important cause. So that means that voice needs to be heard from time to time. I definitely agree. I don't think I've ever had an interaction where I was like, oh, the vibes are off. I've had a lack of interaction, which happens, and you just kind of have to feel it out. But I definitely agree the mismatching expectations is the biggest thing, which is why a lot of my pre-event communication has been just kind of setting the stage of like, I've been around for a little bit, I'm not grandstanding you, but this is like my perspective on things is just we're both doing our half of this equation, and the best way to do it is together. And when one of my runners is like, I don't think we're gonna have time for you to speak in the first 30 minutes, I have to frankly say, we're going to have to make that time because that's what we're doing. That is the whole point of me being in this seat. And if I don't talk in that time, we're both going to have a bad experience.
Yeah.
And if anything ever extreme like that were to happen, committee also would be able to step in, especially after the fact, to be like, okay, we don't think this necessarily worked out. We have to have a discussion with this runner, especially if you do communicate with them early and that's what you're getting. You can talk to the coordinators to get that kind of thing sorted out. They are your best friends in this situation because comfort is important on both sides of that. But yeah,
but the donations still need to get read.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
you do have the support of games committee and the host coordinators. They will always have your back of like, if you need to cut in, you have that permission. So making sure the job gets done is kind of what it comes down to.
You come up with any other thoughts on that one, or?
That was my other thoughts on that one. That's
Awesome.
it. That's what I got. The job needs to get done. Y'all did fantastic.
Yes.
It's a really great question.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Yeah.
Have any of you ever had a situation where a comment reached you that you weren't sure of? How did you navigate that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have...
What was the question?
Repeat
Oh,
question, yeah.
sorry. Have you ever had a donation comment that came in that you were unsure of? And the answer is absolutely yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
we were talking about this right before, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So there are times when someone might send you a game reference. You think it's a game reference. You don't know. You don't know if it's a runner, a couch reference, community reference. You don't know. And that could be something. It could be something that you're seeing and you understand all the words together, but it makes you a little bit uncomfortable. There's all kinds of situations. There's all kinds of people behind you. So, if Zen sees Mackinac, right?
Mackinac, that's correct.
Right, and doesn't know how to pronounce that, he could just really quickly type, how do I pronounce this? Or, he could say, ooh, this number, does this have any significance in the donation? And we'll try to type back something. But the thing is that other than sponsor donations, hi friends, Yeti here, right? There's nothing that you have to read. And we tell the hosts really clearly that if something makes you uncomfortable or confused, it doesn't matter even if it comes from runner's mom, you do not have to read it. So there's always that level of support that we want to make sure the broadcast is really good and clean, and so that everybody sounds comfortable. So you have to be comfortable. Yeah.
Specifically from Pokemon X and Y, I got several community donations that just kept saying Head Bob wins. And I was like, what does this mean? So I happened to get lucky that I know Thomas Patrick WX, who is a big Pokemon fan, very known in the community, and was on the back couch. And I immediately pulled out my phone, Discord message T-Pad. I was like, can you give me context? And effectively what I was told is it's just a way of gassing the runner up because they are a genuinely talented runner in the Pokemon speedrun community. And I was like, thank goodness I can just spice these in, just sprinkle them a little bit when it feels right. I don't have to be super concerned about what that means or if it was kind of an in-joke that might throw them off if it comes off as slightly toxic, because some people have chats that antagonize them, and that's just the vibe. But no, this was purely like, Head Bob is that talented, this is their friends and their chat saying, you are this good, keep going, and thank goodness for that. But if I didn't have TPAT, I also could have just reached out to the coordinators or asked other volunteers like the hosts or someone else that potentially knows anything about this this specific speedrun community and hope that someone could get back to me. But if I didn't, even though it's a community donation, and if I didn't feel comfortable about it, I just wouldn't have done it. I had plenty of others that I could have gone with. Like, during the duration of Pokemon, that was roughly 800 donations came through.
Yeah.
I had more than enough ammunition.
Another thing that we have at our disposal is that when we're all looking at those donations at the same time, we have the power to add mod comments. So if I'm at the desk and I want Zen to see something, I could write a little piece of information. So there were all those states coming in, right? And there was one that the state of Maryland is Pokemon is crabby.
Crabby, yep.
And I wrote a little comment that said, go Maryland, Sav agrees, Zen, you're doing a great job. But that comment could have easily been used to clarify a situation. I think you might have been hosting and a donation came in asking you to sing something to the tune of That's Amore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not familiar with that song, though, so I did not read that out.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So I did put a little comment saying, oh, that's to the tune of That's Amore. And so then if Curry doesn't know anything about That's Amore, then he doesn't have to read it and he doesn't have to sound silly, clearly not getting the reference, right? So then that's communication between us. He doesn't have to be confused.
For SMRPG Finale, I had a big donation come through. Like, it was a large amount, but it was also a very long donation that wanted me to sing Peaches from the Mario movie. And I looked at it and said, I don't think I'm the right person for this.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is an incredible $500, but I will not do this justice, nor do I feel comfortable. And I just had to, unfortunately, ignore that one.
Yep.
It happens. I do my best when I feel comfortable reading what is in front of me. And I think there was a ton of hosts that would have been great for that. And unfortunately, it wasn't me. But there's also so many other donations that I can do a good job with. So,
Great question.
Yeah, that's
Thank
a great
you.
question.
Other questions?
yes.
Yeah.
So, if you have like a really like rough shift, like a really rough shift, how do you like bounce back from that? How do you like get out of your
The question is, if you have a really rough shift, how do you bounce back from that? How do you come back from that? Especially if it's your first shift, right? And you have to do another one.
For me, I try to remember that I'm my own worst critic. Everything that I hear is a mistake. How many people actually heard that? Maybe the host coordinator who's like really honed in, but a classic host community phrase is chat has the memory of a goldfish. If you move on, they will move on. So it's so ephemeral when you're up there. You can come off and feel really bad, and then nobody's gonna remember that shift. So you can move along knowing, yeah, I'll do better for the next one. I can turn to my host coordinator and be like, hey, I need a little love. What did I do well in there? And that is something the host coordinators love to do. So turning to friends and finding the ways to just kind of recenter yourself. But I really emphasize, you are your own worst critic. You're gonna hear way more mistakes than anybody else even has a chance of hearing. So trusting in the fact that it's your own voices, not other people's.
Something that I do, it sounds a little hokey, but I turn to the elements. Water, air, light. So water, you could drink a glass of water, you could take a hot shower, you could cry a lot. all of those things are really useful. You could go break up a sweat. Light, never underestimate the importance of just going outside, leaving the premises, and just like taking a little walk, and getting some fresh air. And that can be like releasing air to someone else, just idea dumping, all of that stuff, just like letting it out. So those are some things that can really help you. And again, it's just to just get it out of you is really important. And I mean, 100% what Kyle said, we're all our own worst critics. And the people who tend to go out for hosting, I don't know, I think there's like an undercurrent of anxiety with a lot of us.
Oh, big time.
And that's true for a lot of performers in general. But yeah, it's important to find ways to just sort of expel that and give yourself a little bit of grace, including like crashing out. But having that be a controlled crash out is fine. Yeah.
I am very much my own worst critic. I was not happy with X and Y, my personal performance, but the job got done and it was for a great cause, and I'm trying to remind myself of that a lot. I just have to step back, and I'm a big fan of a good walkie. Some boyfriend enrichment outside. Every time I get, thank you, a little too in my own head, which especially happens at GDQs with all the work that I do, I take a lot of walks. I just get out of the space for a little bit, whether that's on my own with some music, or that's with another person who's willing to be there and just exist with me or listen to me should I feel like I need to talk. I also wasn't very happy with how Community Clash came out, just from my perspective, and it was a rough day for me yesterday, just too in my own head about it. But then I took like a solid 40-minute walk, and it helped me just decompress it for a little bit. I think the most important thing in that regard is recognizing that even if you're not happy with it, you did it ultimately, and that means you're going to come out of it and do better next time. You're going to remember the things that you weren't necessarily happy with, and you're going to be able to target those. You don't want to take the things you're unhappy with as a defeat, because you have not fallen down in a way that you cannot get back up from. Shout out therapy. Big fan of therapy. You just have to always be willing to try again, because you were there once, and even if it wasn't your 100% performance, that means you've gotten there once and you can do it again, and you can keep getting better. Yeah.
Also, a reminder that I would give to the hosts, no matter how they're feeling, is like, you deserve to be here. You got in on your own merits, and one shift does not say anything about who you are as a person or as a host. It's one block of time in an ever-spinning time spiral. Whoa.
Jeremy Baramy lifestyle.
Yeah, Jeremy Baramy. So, yeah, you are meant to be here. You got here on your own, and you deserve the credit, no matter how the shift ended up coming.
I have one more remembrance of therapy that it's a good thing I'm like remembering the specific thing. That means the speaking is working. I especially, and it helps thinking in the context of how hosts treat each other, where there is a full channel of gas hosts up. Try and recognize how you treat other people in the same situation of, like, if someone came off that shift and they were like, I don't think I did well, your first instinct is going to be like, yeah, you did terrible. You're going to be like, what are you talking about? You killed it. And trying to take that step back and recognize that, why do I treat other people way in that same situation, but I'm harder on myself, like, and recognizing that that's not, you're doing that for a different reason than it's actually reality. And that few moments of, I did better than I recognize I did, but I am my harshest critic, and I just need to take a second to stop doing that to myself, is a big thing. Yeah.
There's also something that's important when you're working as part of a many moving cog system, that sometimes you're working under incomplete information. So you have to understand what part of a poor performance on your part, was fully in your control, and what were some things where, if I had known this fact before going in, it would have been better. And making sure that you know what was in your control and maybe what wasn't in your control. So that's kind of important too. Yeah.
Great question, and a gigantic question. So
Gigantic,
we are
yeah.
only able
Heavy.
to answer little bits of it. So
Yeah.
that's what we've got.
Yeah.
More questions? Is that up?
Ooh.
That's okay.
Wow.
Well, thank you all so much for coming. I hope you all audition. I hope to see you all soon in the Discord server, see you out and about, and we will be here for the rest of the week, all of us hanging out.
Yeah,
Everybody,
let's go.
So we'll see you all
Rocking
soon.
in.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being here.